Well, it'll be a few days before we get to see these.
Sheesh, no.
Sheesh, nobody appreciates the art of a film photography anymore. Who was Alice Augusta Ball? From Paul. Good question. Alice Augusta Ball was a chemist who developed an early treatment for leprosy, a disease that causes skin to grow, change color, grow lumps, and tear. And it also caused numbness, which meant if people got injured, they might not be able to know it. And these injuries could get so infected that they lost fingers and toes. In the early 1900s, when Alice was doing her research, leprosy destroyed people's lives. And it wasn't the illness itself that was so destructive, it was a stigma or rejection by society. For centuries, leprosy was thought to be a curse from God. Many societies saw it as punishment for sin or a bad behavior. They thought that the people with leprosy were just even what getting what they absolutely deserved. So it was nearly impossible for them to get the care that they expected nor needed. And around the world, there were managed to be isolated villages for leprosy patients. By the time Alice Augusta Ball was starting her own career, the world had basically given up on a cure. But when a doctor asked for Alice to help with creating for a better treatment, she stepped up. Alice Augusta Ball was born in 1892 in Seattle, Washington. Her family was full of photographers, but back then, chemistry was part of the job, and Alice saw them capture detailed images using substances like iodine and mercury. It was a magical introduction into the world of chemistry, and she was hooked. She went on to study how chemicals can be used as medicines or pharmaceuticals. She enrolled at College of Hawaii and became the first woman and the first African American to earn a master's degree there. This was the early 1900s when women were discouraged from going to college, and in most of America was racially segregated. Black people were kept out of the schools, restaurants, and hospitals that white people used. For Alice, working on leprosy treatment was a chance to help free others from unfair restrictions. It was also a fascinating and unconcord chemistry problem.
At the time, none of the available treatments for leprosy were very effective. In Asia, people found that an oil from chalmugra trees brought some relief,
But
but
there
there were
were
problems.
problems.
Swallowing the drug caused intense nausea, so patients struggled to keep it down long enough for it to help.
And injecting it, and it didn't even work so well either, and it burned something terribly. For ages, doctors and scientists have been searching for a better way to get the medicine into patients. And Alice Augusta Ball was 23 years old and she was determined to find it. The problem with Chattahoochee oil was it as well as an oil. And the human body is mostly made of water, which doesn't even mix with oil. And if Chattahoochee oil can be dissolved in water, it'll work much better. And Alice taught classes in labs during the day and worked a Chattahoochee problem in her free time. She focused on improving its solubility or ability to be dissolved. But to do that, she had to get rid of the part of the chemical that keeps water away and replaced it with a new part that attract water instead. And after tireless of months of experimentation, she succeeded. Doctors began injections using Alice's method. For the first time, many leprosy patients went to readmission and all of the signs of the disease disappeared. And instead of banished, they were able to go home thanks to Alice's work. But tragically, Alice Augusta Ball never got to see that. Before her death in 1916 of a long illness shortly after her big discovery, she was only 24 years old.
But her work continued to help countless people around the world. It remained the most effective leprosy treatment for decades. In Thailand, it helped so many that the king gave a chalmugra tree to the College of Hawaii as
As
a
a
thank
thank
you.
you.
Scientists kept studying leprosy, and today, it's curable. To help end the stigma, it's been renamed Hansen's disease, after the scientist who discovered its cause. Hey,
Hey, could you hold that sandwich up just a little bit more? This will be a good one.